All right. So I sat down with Charlie Cameron. Charlie has an amazing story. He was in the Air Force for several years. He's still in the Air Force as a reservist. He started his real estate journey as an agent. He's now an investor. He's a team leader. He has international agents and national agents. His story is absolutely amazing. And what he shares in this episode about productivity, leveraging people and teams and building teams and attracting people is just great. So you don't want to miss this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to Passive Investors Playbook. I'm your host, Charlie Hardage. In each episode, we'll sit down with successful people that turn to real estate to build and grow their wealth. We do a deep dive into why they chose real estate and what makes it so attractive to them. We explore why people in their industry could also benefit from passively investing in real estate. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced investor, a doctor or a professional athlete, love your job or hate your job, our show is here to help you build a profitable real estate portfolio while maximizing your free time and minimizing stress. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn from some of the best in the business. Welcome to Passive Investors Playbook. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Charlie Hardage, and I'm the host of Passive Investors Playbook. My guest today is Charlie Cameron, an Air Force veteran who found a passion for real estate while serving in the Air Force. And thanks to real estate, he was able to transition into a full-time real estate nerd. Those are his words, not mine. People in real estate are his passions, and helping others succeed and avoid the mistakes he's made is what he finds most rewarding. Charlie enjoys mentoring growth-minded investor agents the most. At this time, he is growing an international real estate team, building a local military-focused real estate team, and scaling a real estate portfolio of short-term rentals, residential assisted living, and other interesting asset classes, along with an integrated management company to exit the self-management roller coaster. While this sounds like a lot, by leveraging teams, systems, automation, and intentional task prioritization, Charlie usually works no more than 40 hours a week so that he can prioritize family and living on nights, weekends, and vacations. Priorities. Charlie, first off, I love your name. It's great. But man, I'm so excited that you're here. We were talking before the call a little bit. Most of the guests are focused on apartments and the syndication space. And what's cool about you is, well, number one, you're in the Air Force, and thank you for your service. But you left the real estate full time. Left Air Force full time. You're in the reserves now, but you left and you have made a kind of a second career out of real estate, and you're doing it probably not a traditional path. You have a lot of hacks, and I'd love to get into those with productivity and just really how you're helping others, not only other agents but other military, active and veterans. In properties. So super excited to have you on the show. Do you mind giving the audience a little background about yourself?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me, Charlie. Really excited to be kind of a part of the launch of this podcast and really get it going. It's doing very well, which is awesome. So congratulations there. Yeah, love your name as well. My background, I did 11 years in the Air Force. I did a lot of weapons development and testing, which was super cool. I enjoyed a lot of that. I am a nerd by trade, an engineer. My wife kind of does a very similar thing, and she's still active duty. But about 6 years ago, because my daughter's almost 6 and she was there at my first closing, I bought my first investment property, and it came down to, another Air Force buddy in a bar was like, "Hey, why are you not investing in real estate?" And I had the complete like, "No, that's stupid. I don't want to fix toilets, yada, yada." The same thing we all think when, especially I was into passive index fund investing, right? And so I was like, that's the thing. This is as passive as it gets. But then I looked at this article my buddy sent me, and it had the for-profit centers of real estate investing. And I read it again, and I read it again, and I read it again. And I was like, holy smokes, wait a minute. This doesn't, there's a whole bunch more advantages here. I'm not getting it all from the stock market. And so the wheels started turning, right? Then I found bigger pockets, and 8 months later, I purchased 2 fourplexes as my first investment property.
Awesome.
Self-managing, by the way, which managing is not passive, but I wanted to learn what I needed to know to manage a manager, right? Yeah. And so I wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to literally, we go from closing, I go to the property and fish mummified squirrels out of a furnace of a unit that a woman was living in, right? When I finally decided 2 things. One, I wanted to get into the biggest property I could get. For me, that was 8 units in Fairborn, Ohio. And I wanted to really just get in there and understand what was going on and get my hands dirty. I figured I could at least do better than the last person who left mummified squirrels in the furnace, right? I can at least do better than that. And by doing that, increase the value for my tenants, increase the rent, increase the value of the property, be able to kind of force some equity there. And then that could be the start of my kind of real estate play. So that's how it got started. Fast forward 6 years later, you're right. I recently left the military to go full-time real estate nerd is what I call it. I don't really know what to call it because I'm an investor. I am a real estate agent. I run a local team. I run a national team. I built a team to manage my own properties. So I do a lot of real estate, and that doesn't sound very passive. I realize that, but I'm not the kind of person that can sit still, just not built that way. So it's passive in the ways I want it to be, right? Yeah. I don't want to self-manage anymore. I don't want to work on nights and weekends if I can help it, because family is my priority. It's a big reason I left, so that I could do real estate full time and then still have time left over for those that matters most. So that's where I'm at now. So I do a little bit of everything, but they're all interrelated, and so yeah. I just love that they all kind of mix and mingle, and I can continue to grow multiple income streams through real estate. And as that kind of grows, then I can set in place the tools, the systems, the personnel, the automations to make things passive.
Man, that's amazing. What I love, excuse me, what I love about that, Charlie, is the fact that you didn't go the single family route like probably 99% of other investors, myself included, by the way. You said, now as big as I can get. So that was 8 units. And then you do something that I do as well, is you want to learn everything about that before you just pass it off to someone. My philosophy on that, and maybe yours is the same, but I want to understand everything about it, so I can then, work with the property manager, hand that off to a property management company. And as they do stuff, I would have much better insight to say, what if we tried this, or what if we did it that way? I mean, they're definitely the experts, but I think even tweaks can help. So I love that. And man, you've gone from 8 units to an international team of agents, and the fact that you have so many different, and some are active, but a lot of passive income streams is great. And if someone were to just kind of read your bio and just listen to what you did, they would probably think man, how do you have the time? You're working 80, 100 hours a week, and you probably have an assistant or two. But I love that you are taking kind of a different approach to it, and you're leveraging other people's experience, their talents, because I'm sure you're talented in a lot of things, but not in everything, right? And so you're using talented people where you can in every place, and that's really allowed you to grow so much.
Yeah, and as many things as I have going on, I can't be everywhere at once. I can't do all the things, right? Yeah. So it's like, if you want to do a lot of different things, and that's just by nature, I like being involved in a lot of things and interacting with a lot of people. I have to outsource things. It's just, it's the nature of the beast if I still want to have a life. So, and I focus on best use of time and extreme prioritization of tasks, and kind of knowing what big things I need to get out of the way so that everything else becomes easier or unnecessary, right? I stole that. I'm ripping off The One Thing by Gary Keller. That book changed my life. And so I kind of live by that. That and a couple of other mindset productivity books I've taken little bits and pieces from and kind of worked that in with the one thing. But absolutely, most people, and I used to be this way. Most people build a list of random shit, and they even put things on there they've already done to check the box and get the endorphin rush from it. Right? We're all guilty. We've all been there. That's not productive at all. What you need to understand is, what is the big hairy thing you can do so that the rest of that stuff didn't really matter, right? And so maybe it's hire a person that can do all the rest of that little stuff. Maybe it's, hey, just find that next property, because if you do that, you don't need to go out and Uber for 10 more hours. You got the next property that's going to cash flow that amount each month, right? Yeah. So you kind of have to know how to focus onto the right tasks and then break them down from there to get them done, because that's really ultimately what's going to propel your goals. Not getting a whole bunch of small things done, but getting the most important ones done.
Man, I love that. You're kind of working backwards. You're looking at the big picture first, figuring out how to get there, building the path from the big picture down to the day-to-day tasks or the minute-by-minute tasks, as opposed to being in the weeds with those minute-to-minute tasks, not focus on the big picture, and you may be completely off course and you don't know it until you're probably weeks or months or years down the road. I'm totally guilty of that, by the way, where I would, keep my head down, do hard work and underwrite deals and do all that. And then it's like, here I am 6 months later and I haven't really done much, right? And because I was focused on the quote unquote, what I thought was the big picture of but it was really just the task at hand. It was something that needed to get done. So I love that you're looking at the big picture first and then working backwards from there. And I obviously that shows, man, with everything that you've accomplished, outside of the military in such a short time, right? I mean, I think you said you left 6 years ago, or you went reserve 6 years ago.
No, I left in December of last year, technically.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I've been a part-time real estate agent for, at that time, 3 years.
Okay.
And kind of building all those other things on the side during that time. I did end up doing SkillBridge kind of mid-year, so that freed up time to kind of focus on real estate full-time. As of about a year ago is when I got to start focusing on real estate full-time. But awesome. I'll say something else about kind of what you said about the big picture, if you don't mind. I think all of us start this way when we see those shiny objects and here's an income stream, passive income, real estate. Oh, I need to buy real estate. But then, I'm a big planner and I didn't know how to do it initially, but eventually I came up with, okay, my original plan was I just want to replace the active duty portion of my income when I hit the 20-year retirement point, right? Everybody knows the military, there's a really good 20-year retirement. It's about a little bit less than 50% of your pay when you leave. And so my goal is I want to replace my and my wife's of that. Ended up accelerating things quite a bit and being able to leave earlier. So my goals have changed, and I've got that built out too. But I think so many people approach real estate from the wrong angle, which is I just want to go buy the thing and make the money. It's like, but what is your goal, right? How do you know which real estate is the right real estate for you? Because there's a bajillion different niches, right? Is that working towards your goal or is it not? How passive does it need to be? Did you want to make more money with short-term rentals, but it be less passive, or do you need it to be super passive to meet your goals? So what I recommend everybody do, and I've got it on my wall here, write a life intent. Okay. It's like, what do you picture your life looking like? The ideal life. For me, it's live a life overflowing with amazing moments created through massive freedom. All right. Okay. How do I do that? Well, for me, it's, hey, build multiple semi-passive income streams. Okay, how do I do that? Let me break it down to the investing side. Well, what's the best niche that I can still make money in right now that's pretty darn passive, but works at today's interest rates and today's prices? That's a mix between short-term rentals and residential assisted living for me. So that's how I break that down, right? I think most people just kind of skip that step and they go right to, I'm going to do the thing. But ultimately, what is the goal and how do you get there? What cash flow do you need? It's the same thing with IRAs, right? And so many people are like, yep, I'm putting money in my IRA. Okay, how much? Well, this amount. Well, why? Well, I don't know, because someone told me that I need to put 10 or 15% a month in. Well, hold on. What do you want to retire with at age 60? And do you want to retire at that age? You can do the math very easily and work backwards and go, okay, I've got this amount. I need to be putting in this much per month to retire with the income I want at age 60. Right. Yeah. But nobody does that. It's a very interesting thing that no one actually breaks it down. Like I did that because, and then I taught some courses on how to do it because I felt very passionate about people need to be doing the working backwards piece so that you know how to get to your goals.
Yeah. I love that. And I think, I don't think that's taught very well anywhere. Right.
And that's exactly right.
I actually only really realized that a few years ago. It was an analogy, and I won't say it here. It was just basically look at the big picture, get out of the weeds and look at the big picture. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, that is me 100%. I'm in the weeds, totally in the weeds. And so from there, I'm doing a better job, but I still have a long way to go. But even that little amount that I've changed has helped me just dramatically get into more properties and have that. I love what you said, the write down a life intent and on a whiteboard or post-it note, whatever it is, something that you look at that you can see, because I truly, my why is my family leaving a legacy, and being able to do what we want when we want, and I don't think if I started looking at the big picture, I would just be, like you said, doing the thing, right? I'd just be trying to do deals. They probably don't even work towards my end goal, right? Maybe they help me a teeny tiny bit, but they're not really my end goal. So I love that. I think when you write that down, it may take some time, like probably took you a while to figure out exactly what you wanted to do. May take someone, several hours to kind of come up with like that tree or, the diagram you'd have to write down, like the steps. But I totally agree with you that when it's written down, when you figure it out, now you're on the right path to succeed and to hit those goals. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that's extremely important. So you mentioned earlier in the conversation that one of your buddies told you about real estate and why are you not doing it? Did you have any background on real estate before that?
Zero. My family was not really into, we were military, we moved around, they bought a house at each place, sold a house at each place, maybe made some equity each time, but there was no, other than stock market investing, I had no prior background.
Wow. So, and your buddy, what did he do as far as in real estate?
Nothing. He never ended up doing anything.
Really?
Yeah, still active duty as far as I'm aware. Yeah, and we kind of parted ways in that respect. You have the people that get interested in it and don't ever do anything, and you have those of us who maybe do too much. Just dive down the rabbit hole and just never emerge, right? And then a lot of us, I don't know if you feel the same way, like my people are real estate people now. Like that is my sphere, and that is those are the people I enjoy being around, because yes, we can have a good time not related to real estate, but that's also what I gravitate towards. And so when it comes to my friend circles, I've just basically surrounded myself with folks who have the same passions and interests, which I think is amazing, because a lot of these people are willing to help in every single way, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And they're willing to mentor, even though they're 8 steps ahead, which is also crazy, right? Yeah. I'm just so surprised, but by the people who have helped me along the way, and it's just absolutely an amazing community to be in.
Yeah, man, you're spot on about that. And I think, you being in the military and myself in the military, by being in the military, I feel like whether you want to or not, you have to be a team player. And I feel like, and I played team sports growing up, not very good, but I did them. I
understand.
Yeah. But I do truly, man, you're so spot on, because people can be, when you first started, maybe you're hesitant to reach out to people, but now, like, I've had people on the podcast that have, hundreds of millions of dollars in assets or billions of dollars in assets, been doing this for 30 years, and it's just like, why are you talking to me? Like you have nothing to gain from it, but they just want to give back. They want to help, because and this is my take on it, Charlie, is they have been impacted by real estate in some capacity, whether it's being an agent, whether it's being an investor, whatever it is in some capacity. It doesn't matter the asset class, doesn't matter what capacity they're in. They just want to help because they know how powerful it is. And so I do see myself like your friend, honestly, for a long time. I knew it was great, but I didn't do anything. I didn't take a risk. I didn't take action on it. And then when I finally did, man, I was just like, wow, I am so relieved. I'm so relieved. And I have not slowed down, but it took that leap of faith. And at the time I thought it was a huge leap, but then you brought up experts and mentors. So, when you invest with them, you can invest passively because it's taken care of, right? It's not just like some dude that you just randomly met who also wants to get into real estate for the first time. It's people that have a lot of experience. So I love that you brought that up about, taking action, talking to mentors that were 8 steps ahead of you, and still probably to this day are 8 steps ahead of you, even though you've progressed a lot.
Yeah.
But, and always just giving back. And I love what you're doing with other agents, helping investors invest and reach, maybe it's a different life intent than yours, but they can still hit theirs, right? Which is awesome. So you got into real estate because your buddy, who was not in real estate. What do you love so much about real estate? Like, why'd you pick real estate as opposed to, I don't know, franchises or opening up a business or something?
Yeah, I've always had that weird entrepreneurial tick, if you will. Like, I've always dabbled in things and tried affiliate marketing and tried web building and done all sorts of weird stuff. Failed at literally all of it till real estate came along, right? And there's just for me, the thing that I really love about real estate is twofold. One, I can make it as passive as possible, and 2, it's just always intriguing. I guess 3 is it's a better investment than literally anything else out there. But I have this, if I'm not growing, I'm dying feeling.
Yeah.
I frankly, I struggle, like on a family vacation, to not think about business or pick up a business book, audiobook, listen to something new, learn something new. It's just what interests me.
Yeah.
And real estate always has that. I've been doing it for 6 years, and whether it's on the agent side, but mostly the investing side, there's always more things to learn. There's more niches. There's just more things I could do, right? Like, oh shoot, I love self-storage. I don't have any. I want to do that someday. And one day I'm going to learn enough about it and I'm going to do it. But, it's just, there's so many interesting things about it. And then, an interesting network of people that I can always tap into and keep learning from and growing with. And it's really the growth that does it for me.
Yeah, man, I love that you said passionate about real estate. And I'm the same way. There's, like you said, there's so many different asset classes, industrial, medical office, retail, whatever, you name it. And there's just so much that you can learn. And you shared something about if you're not growing, you're dying. I feel the same way. I actually personally think that it eats at me, and not like it pushes me, but it like kind of gets me upset and frustrated that I'm not doing better sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
And then I take a look back of where I was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I'm like, why am I upset? I've, almost 1,100 units, and like never would have dreamt to be where I am. And but I do feel your pain on that. And your passion is totally coming through the interview too. I love it, man. So we talked about why real estate's so attractive. You can make it as passive as possible. I love that. And that is actually one of the big reasons I'm in it, because right now I want to be very active in it and grow my streams of income, and then also eventually back away and let it be passive, whether that's by hiring a team or only investing passively. I want that flexibility. So, I mean, if people, some real estate is passive and some is not, just by the nature of it. But I love what you said there, man. And then, better than any other investments. I mean, obviously, that was an easy one.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Yeah. I mean, it's easily 4 or 5x the stock market, and I just can't get over it. Like the amount
Yeah.
of equity I've been able to build. Like I was a big stock market investor, right, and did all of that. And I look at that portfolio versus what real estate has done for me in 6 years, and it doesn't even compare.
Yeah.
It's an insane difference, right?
Yeah.
The first property I bought was less than the wire I sent yesterday for the last property I bought, right? And it's insane just looking back and going, okay, I scraped some pennies together to buy a crappy eightplex that I improved, and now I'm buying $1 million residential assisted living homes, right?
Yeah.
And it's insane.
That's awesome, man. I love that. And, it's the velocity of money. How fast can you turn it over? How fast can you let your money work for you instead of you working for your money? Love that. So I know you did mention coming up with the capital, to scrape pennies, but was that truly, did you, I don't know if you're in the TSP, the thrift savings plan that the military offers. How did you afford that first investment?
Yeah, we were investing on the side pretty heavily for a couple of years because from day one, it never sat well with me that I had to work till I was 67.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yes, I'm always going to tinker and learn things. Got it. But I wanted freedom before, in TSP, Roth IRA, 401k, they all can't start till you turn 60, 59 and a half. Okay. That sucks. By that point, you're old. You've done, your family's raised and gone, right? And so now it's you as an old person trying to enjoy what's left, right? And so, and I watched a lot of folks that I was surrounded with in the military retire from the military after 20 years and then go back to industry or civil service for the next 20 to 27 more years. I was like, man, there has to be a better way.
Yeah. So
I was already investing into stocks and dividends and things on the side because I didn't want to have to wait to 60. So I was already kind of not heavily, we were dual income, no kids, young lieutenants. So still not a ton of pay, but we were very, we were decent with expenses. So we were able to kind of build up a little bit of money that we had on the side that we then used for that first purchase. And that was it. Like, I was like, all right, this is it. We're going to figure this out. And hopefully this works, right? Because if it doesn't, then I guess we'll sell it and oh well, right? But I wanted to give it a try. And so I was like, what can I scrape together? And so we did. I mean, it helped that I did ROTC and military paid for college, right? So I didn't have any outstanding student loans. Didn't have any auto debt, so that was helpful there. To be clear, that's not free. You then have to work for 4 years, right? But so that set us up okay for that. And then I don't know if that answered the question, but
no, it did. And I love that because everyone has a different story, how they got into real estate, how they got their first purchase. And so I think it's good for the audience, just, maybe that doesn't resonate with some people, but it would resonate with other people, and just kind of scraping by. I know people that were in government service that cashed in 401ks because they didn't want to wait till they were 59 and a half to touch it. And they took a penalty. They took had to pay some taxes on that, but now their portfolio already makes more passive income than what their paycheck makes only a few years later. It's just like, it's a little bit of a risk, but most of the time it pans out if you do it right. So anyway, thank you for sharing that, Charlie. I definitely appreciate that. We talked a little bit before about before the interview about inbound marketing and kind of how you're approaching that as opposed to door knocking for leads and things like that. So do you mind talking about that? And love to hear about that.
Yeah. So when I got my real estate license, and I got my real estate license because I ran out of money to invest, right? So I bought at that point 24 apartments. I moved down to Florida. I reassigned down to Florida, and then I was out of money. So I was like, well, I'll get a real estate license. Why not? Right? It still sort of kind of aligns with my goals, though it wasn't passive at all, initially anyway. And I kind of struggled for the first year as a new part-time agent while I was active duty, had a busy job, 2 kids, right? So I didn't understand, as a real estate agent, everyone tells you got a cold call, you got a door knock. It's similar to same thing for investors. Cold call, drive for dollars, send mailers, do all this stuff and put all this stuff out there and hope something comes back, right? And that's a lot of time and effort. And then you always have to be turning the crank on those machines to get those leads. And so what I ended up doing is I started a couple things. I started doing blogging, SEO. So search engine optimization, things that rank for search terms that the leads that I'm trying to connect with are searching for. I create a Facebook community that catered to, and I could provide value to my ideal clients. And then adding YouTube on top, which of course is a more evergreen social media form, very searchable, number 2 search engine behind Google, which also owns it, right? So, those were kind of the 3 big things I've used. There's other smaller pieces and bits to that and ways you can kind of connect them all and cross content across them. And there's of course new platforms and short form video and stuff now. But those are more of just blasting stuff out there and hoping for stuff to get back. So I ended up focusing on kind of what some would call inbound marketing. I called it lead attraction. It's really putting stuff in the right places and doing things once to create continuous inbound connections and leads. And this can apply to, sourcing properties, sourcing investors. If you're trying to attract investor money, for me, a lot of it was attracting clients and attracting agents to my national team, right? And so I think it's super important. Like if you want to be passive in this business, guess what? You're still going to have to lead generate in one way or another, whether that's go out and talk to agents and build a whole bunch of agents that are going to bring you deals, whatever it may be. But I like to focus on inbound attraction because I can create content and it just adds fuel to the lead generation instead of just going out and making one phone call and now that's dead, right? So I've got to make more and more phone calls. I create content, I put it out there and it's continuously adding to the leads per time duration, right? Instead of just make 100 calls, maybe close 2 things, right? So that's a great use of your time if you're a content creator or you are someone that are trying to generate leads at scale.
Man, I love that. And one of the reasons I love that is because obviously it just makes sense, right? Instead of you turning a manual machine, to call people or door knock, you are kind of pushing a button on an automated machine, right? So you can step away because your YouTube video or your blog, I know YouTube is evergreen. Maybe the blogs are too, or some of them are, some aren't. But, you don't put a date on it and then people are like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. That's actually another reason I love it is because I did that, right? And because I saw the amount of work when I was first raising capital. It's like, man, this is hard. And I'm having the same conversation with a lot of people. So I've started doing it where now it's on YouTube or it's on our website or whatever, email automation too, where that's evergreen. So I love what you're doing. And I truly think, you wrote the word attraction, or you said the word attraction. And I think that's it's a total mindset change, right? Because lead gen is typically, when people think of that, it's active. It's me going out there, getting in front of people. But it doesn't have to be. If you attract leads because you're putting out content, then they come to you. You know that they like what they hear, so you don't have to start with, real estate 101, right? Because they're already interested in it. So and they're coming to you. So it's a better lead as opposed to you going to them saying, hey, we'll list your house, or you want to invest with us, or whatever it is. So I love that that mindset change, that word, that term attraction, as opposed to the outbound or inbound, the outbound marketing strategy that most of us use, to be honest.
And the skill set is applicable across multiple businesses, right?
Right.
Multiple, even within real estate or even external, but like that skill set, if you know how to write and rank number 1 on Google, which I can do now, right? I can use that for anything.
Wow.
Same thing for YouTube, right? I'm not as good at YouTube. It's mostly a throughput thing. And maybe that's a self-limiting belief, but but yeah, definitely the skill sets is applicable to anything. So I
Yeah.
think, if anybody's interested in learning about that stuff, they absolutely should go out and try it because you're going to be able to do something with it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's I love that you pointed out it's not just a real estate thing we're talking about. That's an everyday thing, and you can use that just in not even your business or your job, but your personal life too, right?
Mhm.
And you mentioned something earlier too, which I'll kind of tie this in, but you want to surround your people, or you want to surround yourself with the people that you want to be surrounded with, which sounds silly to say, but you're looking for people that are like-minded, that want to grow, whether that's as an agent, whether that's as an investor, active investor or a passive investor, someone that just wants to grow, and that's who you surround yourself with. And I love that because I think that's very important. You don't want people holding you down, holding you back, or bringing you down because maybe they're jealous or maybe they don't get it or whatever. And so I love that, that you're attracting the right people and you're surrounding yourself with the right people. So I know you're an agent in Florida. You're based in the Destin 30A area, I believe.
Mhm. Mhm.
So and you have agents all over the United States and also around the world.
Yeah.
Man, how how'd you build that? How'd you build that, the team locally and globally? I'd assume there's differences in doing
Yeah,
that.
there's definitely a difference. The local team was kind of out of necessity. I was doing some of that organic lead generation or inbound marketing, and I had too many clients. And I, at the time, was active duty, and I didn't want to serve any of them poorly. So for me, it was like, I have to hand off some clients. So I'm just going to start a local team, mostly with newer agents who don't understand that lead generation or haven't done it themselves yet, that I can kind of help get their business off the ground, as well as expand mine. And then I realized, like, wow, this is great. I don't have to sell the houses anymore, right? I still do from time to time. And I really, really, really love working with either in like short-term rental investors because I know it, but even more so VA first-time home buyers. I just love them
Yeah.
to death. It's so much fun. And I'm really good at it. So I like that piece. But now I can teach and mentor my team, a certified mentor as well,
Cool.
to do it. Right. And I'm doing less of the driving and less of the kind of daily paperwork and stuff. And they're going and selling the houses and I'm still getting a cut of that. Right.
Yeah.
So this is how you make a real estate active business into a more passive one. It's no different than I'm getting into wholesaling. Okay. Now I'm building a team to do the wholesaling for me and I just own the business. Right. So that's kind of where the building a real estate team happens, kind of on that level. And then at the national level, I've been able to basically attract agents using SEO mostly, of the same, that have the same struggles and the same goals, right? We relate on that level where, hey, I only want to help mentor agents that want to invest in real estate, want to build additional income streams, want to grow a business and maybe leverage inbound marketing like we do. But they also have family as a priority. They have passive income as a priority. They have freedom as a priority, right? And so, and maybe they want to escape their W-2. Maybe they want to do that part-time and then transition to full-time. Those were all things I knew I could help other agents with. So that's why I created content around. And they find me. They reach out and schedule a call through my blog and or through YouTube, and then off to the races. I help them. I have a weekly mastermind, and I provide a whole bunch of content, a team drive, videos, courses, resources, and then they can book time on my calendar at any time. So it's so much fun helping others, and it maybe it's pointing back to like that. I'm certainly not the $100 million assets owned guy, right? But I'm a couple steps ahead of some other folks that I can help. Right. And so that's fun for me. Plus at EXP, the agents I help don't pay me $1, right? It all comes out of EXP's corporate money and their income. And I love that piece. So it's a win-win, right? I only win when they win, and they win because they don't have to pay anything to get this additional support and mentorship and training.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. And again, the power of attraction, right? You're attracting who you are a couple years ago, right? And who you wanted to be a couple years ago. And now that you are where you are now, you're giving back to those agents, to investors and people to help, are helping people achieve passive income and freedom, ultimate freedom. I love that. And, I'll tie that into passively investing as opposed to the agent side of things. It's the same thing that passive investors, they're able to leverage active investors who have done this, who do this all the time, and they're able to invest and get a piece of the pie as well, right? Which, again, there's not many investment opportunities that are as lucrative and as passive as real estate. Doesn't matter what niche. There's a lot of niches that can offer that in real estate, but just goes to show, in my opinion, and probably yours too, Charlie, that real estate is just so powerful in general, because it just offers almost anyone whatever they're looking for, right? If you want to be super active and grow your money as fast as you can, great. If you are in the latter stages looking for cash flow, great. If you're looking for passive income, great. So I love that about real estate. So I know we're coming up on time. Wanted to ask you about, in a recent book that you've read. I know you brought up The One Thing. Do you have other books that maybe you've recently read that have really helped you in business, self-help, or real estate?
Yeah, I just recently picked up Free to Focus.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of it. That has been an interesting one, a little bit of an eye-opener of what tasks I'm working on that I shouldn't be. So I'm doing a little bit more hiring because there are tasks, there's things you're passionate about. There's things you're good at. And then there's another quadrant where you're not passionate or good at. And then there's the mix where you're both passionate and good at it. That's really where you should be spending the most of your time. Even if you're passionate about something over here, if you suck at it, like website building for me, I love doing it. I'm terrible at it. So I know now, thanks to this book, I kind of got a little bit of a slap in the face, like, idiot, stop working on that. Somebody else can build that much faster than you. Just pay the money, have it done. Like, that's value add to your overall business, because now you're focusing just on the quadrant where you're both passionate and you're good at it, right? So proficient, I guess, passionate, proficient. So not to say you can't be working on other things and spend a little bit of time in those other quadrants and maybe move things to be both passionate and proficient, right? Move the passionate stuff to the also proficient and vice versa. But the majority of your time should be spent in that top one. You should spend zero time on the ones you're not passionate or not proficient about. So I use a lot of Zapier or virtual assistants and things, and I try to take as much of those things off my plate as possible. But yeah, that's a good one.
I love that. Free to Focus, and that's about productivity, it sounds like, and focusing on what you need to focus on and what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and everything else pretty much hand that off to someone else. Very cool. One thing I definitely need to, and there's a lot of things, but one thing I need to get better at is the productivity side and focusing on stuff I'm good at and passionate about. And so I'll definitely check that book out, because you were speaking right to me. I felt it, man.
Well, you said, hey, I'm going to call you out. You said you're editing your podcast videos.
Yeah, I am.
Are you good at it?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Okay. Are you passionate about it?
Not at all.
Okay. Well,
there you go, man.
It's just an idea for you. If you didn't have to spend the time editing, would that open up the time for another podcast or another activity, analyzing a deal, right?
Yeah, that's actually, you call me out, and I'll never be transparent with anyone ever again. No, honestly, one of the things I would love to do, because I love talking to people like you, Charlie, not just because of the name, but I love learning about real estate, all aspects of it. We're both passionate about it. I want to do 2 episodes a week. And right now that would double my editing and finding guests. So that is actually my next hire. We hired someone, a VA, to do podcast outreach to help us get on podcasts. But my next hire is editing the podcast and then also find guests for the show. So that way I can learn more and actually get more time back. right? And
Awesome.
have more conversations like this. So you're right. Thank you for calling me out. I've thought about it, and that is on the agenda. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So Charlie, how can people reach you? I know you're all over social media and all that, and we're going to put all those in the show notes.
Sure.
Maybe what's the best way for people to reach you?
Best way is probably shoot me an email at crushitwithcharlie@gmail.com.
Nice.
I'm kind of all over the place. As I said, I mean, there's a brand for my local real estate team. There's a brand for my kind of national blog and YouTube channel to help real estate agents. That's agentwealthhustle.com.
Okay.
Folks can go there. There's a ton of free resources. I'm about to post my 6-figure playbook for agents.
Cool.
It's also kind of how you do it part-time, which is what I did. I became 6 figures as a part-time agent. And that was kind of the impetus, like, okay, I can switch careers here. But yeah, those are kind of the two best ways. But
Okay.
I'm sure you can put some more stuff in the show notes if people want to check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Email was crushitwithcharlie@gmail.com.
Mhm.
And then I believe it was agentwealthhustle.com.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is for agents or want to be agents that are looking to grow their business and their wealth as well through real estate.
Grow their business and achieve financial freedom along the way.
Awesome.
Kind
Love
of
it.
the goal here. I don't want people to sell houses till they're 75 with the same profile picture from 40. And you know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So that's not
Oh,
what we
yeah.
want. So we kind of have opportunities through real estate investing and other income streams to achieve freedom, even as a real estate agent. So I want people to realize that, and I want to help them do it.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So, man, I really appreciate you being here. It's been awesome talking about real estate, obviously. Love what you're doing with residential assisted living, short-term rentals. You mentioned pre-call that you had a couple in Nashville, so you're not too far from me, probably 30 minutes or so with
Yeah.
those short-term rentals. They're probably killing it because Nashville's been insanely hot the last 10 years, really.
Yeah.
So good for you for getting in when you did. 'Cause I know you got in earlier
Lucky.
than
Yeah.
yeah.
Lucky timing. Yeah.
I don't know about luck. There's also I'm sure you did some research. Maybe not. Just bought them
mostly
online
networking.
one day. Yeah,
Mostly
exactly.
networking,
Yeah.
knowing the right people. And, if you know the right people, they'll turn you on to what's happening in specific markets, and you can
Yep.
kind of get in before the getting is good.
Love that. But yeah, man, thank you for being here. It's been awesome talking to you. You're doing amazing things as a investor, as an agent, but then also as a mentor. And I think that's so undervalued in today's society where, a lot of people are in it for themselves, especially in the corporate world. And I love that, and maybe you're always this way, but you're just a team player and you kind of want to give back to agents, give back to investors, because you were given so much from mentors and from your education. So thank you for your service in the Air Force, and thank you to your wife as well. But thanks for being here.
Charlie, thanks for having me, man. It's really a pleasure. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to today's show, brought to you by H&K Investment Group, your home for passive investing. If you want to learn more about how you can invest with us, please check out our website at hkigllc.com. Don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to our podcast. Please leave us a review to let us know how we are doing. Feel free to connect with me directly on LinkedIn or Facebook. As always, I'm your host, Charlie Hardage. Catch you next time.